Hey guys, it's Alexander Dahl with Manifest Brutality again. It's been a few weeks since I've done a video, so I do have a couple updates. Nothing too major at this point. As always, processing for the album next year is going on. I'm going through and processing all the audio. I have about half of it done, and then I'll probably start working on lyrics and vocals for that, which will be released in almost approximately a year, since it is just about Halloween when I'm recording this of 2019, and which means it's been 5 years since the original Manifest Brutality album came out, and 3 years since the second, and a year since the third. So it's kind of around that time of year when I start kind of ramping up production for the projected album to come out the following year. And then aside from that, I have my collaboration tracks that currently there's still the one sitting out on SoundCloud. I have somebody working on bass for that track, and they'll probably actually come into my studio sometime in the next like week or two to put the bass down. And then I'll probably try to fill it out a little further, throw it back out there, and see if anybody else wants to do any sort of instrumentation on it. And then I also started working on a song with my fiance that she came up with a set of lyrics. And so we kind of sat down, started working on the song for that. And it's actually coming out pretty cool. So things are moving forward. Those are kind of the updates of where we're at with current projects. My interview series is progressing. I've got a few emails from different people, and I should be doing another interview with somebody in mid-November. And then there's a couple other instances that just kind of haven't worked out. There was a blues band in St. Paul that I was supposed to go interview, and for whatever reason, the scheduling just didn't line up. Last week I was in Las Vegas all week, and the week before I was really busy. I just started a new job a few weeks ago, so the timing just hasn't been great in trying to line some of that stuff up. But maybe in the future, when I do another advertisement looking for people, they respond, because they sounded really cool. There's been a couple other people that have responded. The one in November, which is a guy and his fiance that apparently were in a band, and they're looking to kind of talk about that. So hopefully that one works out. And then the other two are kind of tap into what I want to kind of talk about today. And so these two, I don't know what age they were. One of them I looked up on Facebook, and I guess I can kind of get a feel for the type of person he is, but that doesn't really matter. And then the other one, don't really know what age he was, but his story is just, I don't know. It in itself is its own worth of story. So the first one is this guy responded to me, and basically he's just like, oh yeah, let's do an interview, and then let's go out to the clubs and party. And I'm just like, well, dude, I just want to interview, like, you know, ask you some questions, get your stories, and you know, I'm not really looking to go out to the clubs. And so he's just like, oh, well, you know, whatever, I'll hit you up when I'm in town. And I was just like, oh, okay. So he like sent me a message a few days later, the day of that he wanted to hang out, and I already had plans. So I was like, well, you know, I'm not going to be able to make it today because I'm busy. So I wish you would have given me some forewarning. And it kind of just digressed from there, where he kind of kept trying to get me to go party with him at the casino, at clubs. Granted, the casino was my idea because I figured it was a good midway point between him and I. But then he just started all this other, let's go party, let's do everything except the interview thing that I was looking for. And so I kind of just stopped pursuing that one, because it didn't seem like it was gonna pan out into a story that I felt was gonna support what I'm trying to do here. And then the other guy that I talked to, I don't remember his name. He was on the other end of the city as well. And so I was asking him, if he was interested in doing like an interview type thing. And he asked me, well, what kind of questions are you going to ask me? So I say, I'm just going to ask you to introduce yourself. What kind of music do you play? Are you involved in any projects that you want promoted? And do you have any crazy or offensive stories of musicians? Basically, what this whole thing that I'm trying to launch is essentially all about. And so he responds to the questions essentially just, I'm such and such. I don't really have any projects going on. I want projects going on, but I want them to be original. I want to be a creative person. I want to be a songwriter, and I want to get out and play shows and be an original musician. And that's the kind of project I'm looking for. And then in response to the question about any stories that he has, he basically just laughs it off and says, I'm not even going to answer that question because I'm better than that. I'm not going to do that. And so I just didn't respond to him, because what is the point of responding to that when he clearly didn't pay attention to what I was looking for in my original post, which I clearly stated I was looking for stories about musicians interacting with each other. And then secondly, to just laugh off the concept of the project and the subject matter that I'm trying to compile. And then thirdly, to even respond to the email knowing that he wasn't going to add any content to that compilation of information that I'm looking for. And the funny thing about it is him doing that and not having a story himself to share is a story. That in itself is me attempting to positively interact with somebody in the musician community, and that being the response to it. And that those two stories right there kind of launch into the broader point of how musicians decide the type of career and what they want to get out of their career. And this video in itself might end up becoming a two-parter. But basically, the way that those second couple of musicians, because the guys in the blues band and the couple that were in their own band together, those seem like interesting people that would probably actually have some good stories. On the flip side, we have somebody who is in it just to live the rock star life, to go to the party and be a party and not really have much more other than that to contribute to the musician community other than the fact that they want to call themselves a musician. And then the other one is somebody who kind of has that philosophy about themselves that they want to be the writer, they want to be the original band, they don't think anybody else is out there doing anything original, so if they take it upon themselves to be the one that's creating the original content and living that life. And there's a disconnect between somebody who authentically wants to create music and somebody that looks at what essentially is the influencer life, living the life of the rock star without actually having a creative commons to put out there, to produce, essentially. And that just falls into that original spectrum of humanity that I was discussing in my original video about the ways that musicians manifest themselves to create the air of personality. And personality is something that we will also discuss later in this video series. particularly regarding sales and marketing music. But for the moment, that's where I want to leave this video. And in our next video, we'll kind of take those two stories and put them into a career trajectory sort of analysis. And hopefully I get another interview lined up, because that'd be fun. Other than that, thanks for watching, and thanks for subscribing. I hope everybody who sees this has a good night, and thanks for making it this far if you did. Other than that, I'll talk to you later.